First of all, I am so happy to attend with you this very important conference, Rising Global Peace Forum. Although I am so sad that I couldn't attend physically, but at least here I am participating with you through this video. So thanks to the technology. Before I start my remarks, I want to send a big salute to my sister, Nobel Peace Laureate Ellen Joseph Sirleaf. Hello, my sister. How are you? I miss you a lot, really, and I hope that we meet each other very, very soon. I'm so happy that you are with us today at this conference. Dear sisters and brothers, I have always believed that peace does not only mean to stop wars, but also to stop oppression and injustice. I have always believed that there is no peace without justice, as any peace done without any regard for justice will be nothing but a fragile peace. A temporary truce leads to more other wars. Sustainable peace cannot be achieved without fulfilling the right of citizens to enjoy their basic rights and freedoms. War prevails not only when conflict, crisis, or civil wars erupt, but also when democracy is absent, when human dignity is violated, when basic rights of citizens are confiscated and freedom are severely restricted. A society lacking freedom and justice cannot be considered to be peaceful society or peaceful state, as suffering from tyranny is the most severe aspect of war. Struggling, advocating for peace means to be in the ranks of the oppressed, regardless of their religion, their nationality, language, colors, or beliefs, etc. As that if there is no horizon for a peaceful change, a violent one will erupt, unfortunately. We will achieve a great peace when extricating societies from the hell of the tyranny and moving them to the paradise of freedom. Yes, we will achieve a great peace when extricating societies from the hell of tyranny and moving them into the paradise of freedom. Just look around you. You will find out that behind every internal or external war is a tyrant who oppresses his own people. Our region, from east to west, lives in a peace-free state, and people are exposed to this kind of war. The war of terror, the war of dictators on their people, and the war of superpower that backed and stand behind those dictators. So I believe that to achieve sustainable peace, we shall combat despotism and terror together. Despotism and terror are two faces of the same coin, feeding from the same swamp and sustaining each other, protecting each other. People in my country and in the region from which I came are terrorized today by bloody dictators and by the international powers that back them. And they are abused by terrorist groups that misuse and abuse our faith.
I told you so. The message itself was 14 minutes, and I don't know what happened with the technology, but I had the chance of listening to Tawakkol, and I must say, because the technology is not with us, let me just point out some of the things that she said. And it's really important to share this with you because in her very own way, Tawakkol being Tawakkol, her message was so clear about a number of issues around peace building and the importance of leadership in that context. One of the main points Tawakkol was making in her recorded message was the responsibilities of big powers in not only building peace, but also causing armed conflict. One particular message that she was emphasizing was, and her phrase was, states acting like arms dealers. And that really was so significant in a way, because when you look around armed conflicts around the world, what we see is that many very powerful states taking direct and indirect role in the creation of human suffering. And she was calling for responsibilities in that and recognizing that responsibility. And considering that the UN Security Council, 5 permanent members, are also the largest arms producers in the world, that responsibility should be recognized. And also, Tawakkol was talking about the way such strong, powerful states and the way they work with tyrants, despotism, and the way those regimes make their populations suffer. And she was calling, urging responsibility in that context. The second really important message that she was giving in her recorded message was about peace-building responsibilities. As we all are aware that with the international community, responsibility to protect has been one of those approaches. And when we look at actually responsibility to protect, there are 3 areas: to prevent, to respond, and to build. Unfortunately, the international community has been focusing on the issue of to respond, but not necessarily to prevent armed conflicts and to rebuild afterwards, taking the responsibility of rebuilding those societies after armed conflict. And when we look around the experience of the international community in peace building, we often come across these famous approaches, the way the international community talks about, for example, democratization in the name of peace building. In fact, it's the most undemocratic way of thinking about democracy. Certain states going and democratizing others. We also talk about market economy, creation of market economy in those states. But that turns out to be a culture of dependency for those war-affected communities. And Tawakkol, in her message, was criticizing the way we build peace in a top-down external way. The third message that Tawakkol clearly emphasized in her message was the importance of building peace with local communities. Local participation has been the mantra of peace-building work. Everybody talks about local participation. But the point is that it's a very difficult task, engagement of local communities. And it's not a recipe for all ills of the society, and it requires huge amount of work, dedication, and different types of skills. We have so many practitioners here in the audience, and they know it only too well that as soon as you participate in the process, you engage with local communities. For example, conflict resolution skills become really important, negotiation, mediation. Otherwise, it just becomes something that we write in our annual reports, not in real terms. But when it comes to local participation, that's what Tawakkol was emphasizing. Who is participating? If you just allow the participation of the elites of that particular country, that is not really local participation, isn't it? It's the participation of women. It's the participation of young people. And I think those two population groups are often excluded from peace processes, as Madam President so clearly emphasized this morning, and its significance. And that brings me to the last point that Tawakkol emphasized in her recorded message. That's the importance of good leadership. And often when we look at the leadership, we tend to turn to political leaders. Yes, we need political leaders. They are really important, especially for conflict resolution and conflict management, for the settlement of armed conflicts. But what happens afterwards? How to transform armed conflicts? How to transform the societies from negative peace to positive peace? How to deal with the injustices in that society, structural, cultural. So in such an environment, we need good leaders, not only political leaders, but leaders at all levels, civil society, private sector, community-based organizations. We need leaders at the community groups, youth groups. Unless you ensure their participation in peace building, I'm afraid it's going to be a futile exercise. And that was what Tawakkol was pointing out in her message. And being from Yemen and having worked in that context for the protection of women's rights and nonviolent struggle and the role of women in that process, her passionate point was that we really need to recognize that as the international community, we are part of the problem. And hence, working with tyrants, tyrannic regimes, despots, we need to recognize that we are part of that problem. And in her very wonderful way, that strong message, unfortunately, you had to hear from me in this way, but Tawakkol really want to be here, to be present. She has been a great supporter of Rising Global Peace Forum, and she was really looking forward to it. But as I expected, technology failed us really badly. So you ended up with me talking a little bit longer than I was allowed to. But that's an academic deficiency. You know, when you hear when you find an audience, you speak. So with that note, thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much to Tawakkol. We haven't managed to hear her recorded message fully, but I will invite you to give a round of applause. I'm sure she'll be able to hear us from Boston. Thank you.